Welcome back, Guardians. I'm BBK Dragoon, and today we're looking at the Shadowrunner Warlock build. Recently, PlanetDestiny.com put out two articles, Elite Warlock builds and Elite Hunter builds. Each contain multiple solid builds for both classes. Many players overlook the benefits of using a build that creates a synergy between your perks and weapons to best complement your playstyle. The Shadowrunner build is a Voidwalker PvP build that is designed for exceptional crowd control, or CC as I'm going to call it in this video, by giving you the ability to shut down large areas for extended periods of time with both your Vortex Grenade and your Nova Bomb. This build excels in the Control playlist. That's the whole reason I wanted to test this out and experiment with the build, because I play a lot of Control and I know a lot of you do as well. If used properly, this build can be an invaluable spec for your team. The perk selection, weapon choice, and playstyle of this build all work together to make it harder for the enemy team to capture points. Your Nova Bomb is used to lock off space. Your Vortex is used to lock off space. It's not necessarily about getting a ton of kills and slaying, as much as it is preventing the enemy from getting into an area without actually running through your Vortex or Nova Bomb. So let's check out our perks and talents here with the Shadowrunner build. The first up is the Vortex Grenade. This is self-explanatory because we're creating a build that wants to shut down as many areas of the enemy as possible. We want to stop them from advancing, slow them down through doorways, stop them from getting on control points. The Vortex Grenade is going to do that. While Axiom Bolt is good for getting kills, it doesn't match up with this build's motif. Next up for our jump ability is going to be Blink. Blink is extremely good. I think it's self-explanatory at this point. It's disorientating for enemy opponents, and if you know how to use it well, you can navigate very quickly. You can use a jetpack ability if you so choose, but I would highly recommend Blink over that. For Nova Bomb, we're selecting Vortex. The Nova Bomb is a key part of this build, and again, we're selecting Vortex. We don't need 3 projectiles. We don't need the faster, straight line that Lance gives us. We need an area of effect damaging ability that's going to block off pathways, doorways, and control points. Vortex is going to do that. With Energy Drain, you have 2 options here. The one that's recommended in the guide is Surge, and then the one I'm going to recommend is Soul Rip, and these depend on your stat prioritizations of your equipment. If you're going to have Strength, Surge is excellent. By damaging an enemy, you get increased weapon and movement speed. This lasts for 15 seconds. It's very powerful, and again, if you have equipment that's going to prioritize some strength, this is a good option to choose. I like to max my intel, and so what I do is I pick Soul Rip, which killing an enemy with Energy Drain reduces the cooldown of Nova Bomb. You'll be surprised how many kills you get with this build, and reducing that cooldown for Nova Bomb is something I really like. I run a very high intellect build with this type of play. So you have 2 options here. For our passive one, we're picking Arcane Wisdom, training focused on battle recovery and speed. For our ability modifier, you have 2 options here. You have Annihilate and you have Angry Magic. Now, Angry Magic is what is recommended on the build guide. Nova Bomb tracks enemies. This is a useful feature, and you can choose it if you so wish to. I prefer Annihilate because it increases the size of explosions created by Nova Bomb and grenades, and it's a pretty significant difference, especially on maps where you're trying to block a doorway. This could be the difference of maybe blocking half of the B or the entire B on, let's say, Rusted Lands. I like the increased size of explosions, but Angry Magic is also a good choice. For our second passive, we're choosing Chaos Order, and finally on to our last ability modifier. The one that seals the deal for this build is Vortex Mastery. The main end of this is it increases the duration of the Vortex effect of Nova Bomb and Vortex Grenades, meaning your Nova Bomb lasts longer when it's doing its AoE damage, and your Vortex Grenade lasts longer. This is what's going to allow you to block doorways and slow things down. The build recommends Apotheosis Veil for your helm, and the reason being is melee hits replenish energy, and it has some nice discipline stats. It's a good helm. Unfortunately, I don't have it with me right now on this account. I like using Skull of the Dire Ahamkara. It's a nice intellect-based helmet, but you also get Delusions of Grandeur, which is kind of overlooked, and it can be a bit underwhelming, but when it actually comes into effect, it's really nice. You take reduced damage while using Nova Bomb. It's a really nice thing, especially if you're in the middle of the air, there's 3 people shooting at you. It can mean the difference between getting that super off and not getting it off. So Apotheosis Fail if you can. Prioritize intellect and discipline. Strength only if you took the Surge ability, but you want to be throwing as many grenades as possible and tossing as many Nova Bombs as you can. Obsidian Mine can be an okay third option. Nova Bomb kills reduce the cooldown of your next Nova Bomb is insatiable, but the thing is, we're not necessarily going for a ton of kills with this build. We're more going to lock down areas and try and prevent enemies from getting into the control points. This is a mid-range support player's dream build. With that said, we recommend hand cannons. I love my Thorn. The Last Word's a great option. If you don't have these 2, Red Death and Bad Juju are good second options to this. They're both very strong in the mid-range. For our special weapon, we recommend a shotgun. Fellwinter's Lie, Found Verdict, take your pick. Nice shotguns are always a good thing in the Crucible, especially when you're going to be near those control points. Finally, the heavy that is recommended is the Dragon's Breath rocket launcher, or I love my Against All Odds. For whatever reason, this weapon's impact is just outrageously good. A few things to keep in mind when playing this build. You want to be located in spaces that are going to help your team. You are a support role and not necessarily the outrageous slayer person who's supposed to be generating a gajillion orbs of light. It's your job to block off spaces, and you may have to readjust how you throw your grenades and Nova Bombs so that you're not aiming necessarily for the opponent beyond the door, but actually for the door frame itself. Communicate with your teammates as much as possible. Every Nova Bomb you throw needs to be backed up with coordination from your team. If you're using CC and none of your teammates are in position to capture or defend a control point, it's a wasted super or grenade. It can also create conflict if other teammates are going to use their abilities at the same time you're using yours. The more you can communicate and use your CC with your team, the better this build is going to feel. And that is the Shadowrunner Warlock build in a nutshell. I hope you enjoyed. You can find me at youtube.com/bbkdragoon, and we'll see you next time, Guardians.